everyone, I am Dr. Nisha Kumari, Assistant Professor of School of Business, Aditya University. So today we are going to discuss the concept innovation. By the end of this particular lecture, you will be able to understand the concept innovation, what is innovation and how it works and what are the principles and characteristics of innovations are there. And you will be able to analyze the principle of innovation and their role to foster the creativity and focus on the user-centric approaches and the problems and for the continuous improvement of the society and organization. With the innovation, so what is innovation? Innovation is the continuous process where we are thriving for the improvement by doing the experimentation and learning. So if in short, if we talk about what is innovations, so innovation is the creative idea plus implementation of that particular creative idea, which is doing the value creation or which is delivering some new value. So here we talk about first the creative idea, means something unique, something different we are thinking from which is not available in the market, and that idea if we are implementing, and because of that implementation we are able to create some value, we are able to add on in that in the life of the some kind of value in the life of the customers or the users. That thing will become your innovation. So while we talk about the innovation, if we are doing any kind of changes, any modification, upgradation, or altogether if we are bringing some new idea, creative idea, and we are doing some kind of improvement or development of the product, service which are able to create the value for the society and the organization, we call it innovation. So in innovation what happened, each and every person or every part or the partners of the entire ecosystems grows together. They learn through each other and they work with each other and they grow with each other by adding the value in the life of the users. The important part of the innovation is the creation of the value for the users, because here the main purpose is to focus on the users, and the innovations which are focusing on the users will sustain the market in a longer run. So while we're talking about the innovations, what it involves, first thing, either we are developing entirely new product or the technologies, or improving the existing product or the process, or either we are creating some new business model or the service approaches. So while we talk about the developing the new product or the technologies altogether, so for example artificial intelligence, or you can say the internet. Now we are talking about the 3G, 4G, 5Gs, but there was a time where internet itself was not there, correct? So there were some entrepreneurs, there were the individuals who thought about this particular idea. They had this creative idea that if we are going to invent these kind of what you can say that facility, and it is going to add on in the life of the users in so and so way. So that creative idea, when they implemented and they introduced in the market, it became the innovation. And it was adding the value. The main purpose and the prime focus is adding the value in the customer lives. So we are well aware that how internet it is helping nowadays for performing each and every activity or the task which we are doing in our daily routine, either it's your personal or either it's your professional. Then improving existing products or the process. So for example, if we talk about the fans, previously we were having like 3 wings fans, then slowly it became the 4 wings fans, correct? So now what is happening, altogether the new concept they introduce in the fans, that they are adding the LED light as well as they are providing the remotes. So here what happened, previously we were just having the normal fan, now they did improvement in that fan itself only, and they added the LED light plus control remote to adjust the speed as well as whether to turn on or off the particular fan. So we did some kind of changes, or we did some kind of improvement or upgradation in the existing product. So that will also involve under your innovation part. And creating the new business model or the service approach altogether. So for example, if we talk about the Uber, previously also we were having the taxis, auto, everything we were having. But what happened, the Uber introduced the new business model altogether, where we are able to book the services online, that too by seeing the fare which are they going to charge, correct? So this is one of the example again of the innovations. So in wholesome, when we talk about the innovation, what is innovation? Innovations includes that we are going to identify the opportunity, and for that identified opportunity we are going to generate some kind of creative ideas, or you can say the unique ideas which will bring some kind of difference in the life of the users, and we are going to experiment with those ideas, and those ideas are going to deliver some value for whom? For users. Again I am telling, the prime focus of the innovations are your users. The entire innovation should be centric with your users. The prime focus should be on the users, how our innovation is going to add the value or enhance the customer satisfaction of the users. So in wholesome, when we talk about the innovation, it's an applications which involves the creativity plus knowledge to implement that particular idea. For what purpose? To produce the solution and to deliver the value in the life of the users. And it involves the identification of the opportunity and experimenting with those ideas and delivering the value through their enhanced product, service or the process, or through by introducing the altogether new service or the product in the market. So while we talk about the innovation, it should be novel. Novel means it should be unique, it should be different, that there is nothing like that already in the market, even though it's a minute difference, but some kind of difference, some kind of innovativeness or some kind of uniqueness should be there in that particular idea which we want to implement. That will become your way, like one of the characteristics of your the part of your innovation. Second one is value creation, that your idea should create the value for whom? Users. Either it can be economic, either it can be social, or either it can be technological. When we talk about the economic, means it is able to generate the opportunity for the jobs, or somehow it's helping the users or the the stakeholders in terms of the finance. Or when we talk about the social, where it's contributing in the empowerment of the entire society. And while we talk about the technological term, for example, how the different new techniques are coming in the market, and it's helping to ease the process for the companies as well as for the individual users. Then application oriented, until unless we are not implementing our idea, whatever the idea we thought, whatever the idea we got through some kind of certain tools to generate the idea, if we are not able to implement that, it will not be called innovation. So that's why whatever the idea, how much unique it is, this, how much creative it is, it doesn't matter until unless you are able to implement it. Implementation is the main part for become bringing your innovation in the reality. So that's why the whatever the ideas we are having, it should be implementable, not just a mere idea that okay, you fantasize some idea that for the safety of the women we will create this kind of product, or which will protect them before happening of something. So it's just the idea, but whether we are able to implement it or not, and we implement it in reality or not, will lead to the result whether we will call it a innovation or it's just a idea. So your idea should be application oriented, not just for the discussion part. And it involves the risk and uncertainty. Why so? Because while we are talking about the innovative initiatives or the innovative ideas, these are unique, and the creative means they are different from the things. So whether the users are going to give the positive impact or the negative impact towards that particular idea, it's uncertain, and it involves the risk that what kind of gesture or what kind of response we will get towards our product or the service which we came up for to implement in the market. Then innovation is a continuous process. For example, if you install introduce the smartphones, if we talk about the entire previous evolution also of the phones, it will all together become one of the innovation part itself only. But I am talking in the small part where we are just talking about the smartphone. So even though we introduce the smartphones, In that smartphones also, if you see, every month or every 6 months or 1 year, we are getting the different model of the same company or the same brand. Why so? Because if they want to sustain in the market, they has to bring the innovativeness in their product. If you will launch once in a while with the 50 MP camera and 15 MP front camera and 256 GB storage and all, fine, you provided these kind of things and some software you used, because obviously to run the entire or to operate in that smartphone we need some specific softwares, correct? So we introduce all those things. Now what is happening? The competitor came and they also introduced the different smartphone, and might be in that smartphone they introduce 80 MP. I'm just giving example, okay? 80 MP they introduce the camera, just in case, okay? So what will be happening? The users will go towards that particular new phone. So if you want to sustain in the market, if you want to continue in the market, we should be continuously innovate the product which we already established, as well as to grow in the market we has to come up with the new product also. So for example, if we talk about the Kingfisher Airlines, correct? So Kingfisher Airlines were struggling with their finance and everything. So now what happened? To sustain in the market, Kingfisher company, what they did, apart from the airlines, they started the beverages sector also. They entered in the beverages sector. So what was happening? Because of those beverages sectors, the earning they are getting, it was helping them to sustain in the market. So the introduction of the new product altogether helped them to sustain in the market. So that's why when we're talking about the innovation, it's a continuous process. Either you are doing some kind of upgradation and the modification in the existing products or the service, or either altogether you are introducing the new product or the service to sustain in the market and to lead in the market. And the prime one is that user centered. The entire successfulness, you can say, it's depending on whom you are going to deliver this particular product or the service, and whether this particular product or the service is able to create some value in the life of the targeted users or not. So whatever the innovation we are doing, it should be addressing the real user needs. It's not should be just based on your own individual expectations, desires, or thought process which you got, that okay, I'm going to introduce so and so product or the service in the market. No, you should come up with the particular reason, like this is the gap you find in the market, or might be this is the problem you identify the people are facing and the solution is not there for that particular problem. So you are the one who is providing the solutions for that particular problem, which is not being delivered by the other individuals or the other entrepreneurs. So your entire innovation should be user centric. It should not be generalized one, if you want to sustain in the market, as well as if you want to lead in the market. Now why innovation is important? Just now I mentioned, for the competitive advantage. If we are not involving innovation in our journey as a businessman or as an entrepreneur, what will be happening? We will be left out, and the people who are continuously bringing some kind of innovative ideas or implementation of those innovative ideas in their organizations, they will lead the entire market. So for example, if we will talk about in terms of the competitive advantage, in starting Uber came, correct? And Uber was the one who came up with the new business model. And what was the new business model they introduced? It's the online service. Online service for your taxi, bikes or auto. So what was happening? They introduced the new business model altogether, where we can book our cabs, bikes, autos online, correct? But if we talk about the bike part, in starting it was not there. So that gap who identified? Rapido. So later part Rapido came into the picture, and they are the one who introduced the bikes concept in that online or like booking the transportation, and as well as they added one more aspect is the cheaper rate, or you can say the actual offline rate. Because while we are talking about the Uber, here they were like providing the services for booking the transports online, but there were some kind of difference, or you can't bargain into that thing. So because of that, even though in the like prime cities or metropolitan cities, people were using it higher, but if we talk about the normal cities or tier 3 cities, the people are hesitating to use the online service. So there the Rapido identified the gap, and they, because of that, they introduce the cheaper rate, as well as they identify that the existing, whether it's a Ola or whether it's a Uber, they are just providing the cabs, autos, okay. So they are not providing the bikes. And sometimes what happen when we are in urgency and just a one person is there for like traveling from one place to another place, it is affordable for them to book the bike as well as faster. So they identify that particular gap and they lead the market, and because of that only they got the competitive advantage in terms of in against of the Uber and the Ola. Now because by seeing the response, what kind of response Rapidos were getting, now Uber is also introduced, and that too now they are introducing per kilometer charges also. So again, they also did some kind of change modification in their operations to again lead the market. Then second one is economic growth. Innovation helps in like when we are introducing some kind of new product or new services. For that part, we need the resources. In terms of the resources, it's your capital, human capital, and your other assets, or you can say that fixed materials and all those kind of things, correct? So while we are creating some kind of new product or the new services, we are going to utilize different resources, and that in that major part is your human capital, where we are going to utilize the efficiency and the skills or the knowledge of the humans. And because of that, we are going to provide them to use that particular skill. We have to provide them some opportunity to work with us, and that will lead to the generation of the jobs, or you can say the work. So as well as apart from that, if you are introducing some kind of new technology which is like helping in the efficient operations of the existing companies and all, so again, if the efficiency of the operations are increasing, what is happening? It is going to directly contribute in the economic growth of the entire country. So this is the way how the innovation helps in economic growth or contributes in the economic growth. And then by providing the like products or the services as per the need of the users, what is happening? It is helping in improving the efficiency, and which is leading to the reduction in the cost. So for example, if we talk about previously when we are preparing bakery items, for example your breads and all, so in that breads what was happening, we are 4 to 5 people we are having, and those 4 to 5 peoples are making it manually. They are kneading the dough, and then they are keeping it for for overnight and all to like puff it up, and then later on they are baking in the oven, and then after the entire process there is a team which is packing those particular products, correct? Now what is happening? One machine has been introduced in the market. So by using that machine, you just has to put the raw materials in the starting phase of the machine. Slowly the entire process will be run on the single machines, and the entire like bread will be prepared from that particular raw material which we put in the machine in the starting, and at the end of that you are getting the output, final output, which is your bread. And later part for that packaging part also, we got another machine which is packaging the entire food. So because of that, what was happening? Previously the work all has been done with the using of manually. So that was taking the time for each and every process to run it. It was taking time because it was based on the manual efficiency and the capabilities. Now the entire thing is being done in the machines. So entire process, it's having its own steps and it's having its own timeliness. So because of that, what is happening, the efficiency is being improved and we are able to create more breads in the same amount of time. But here if you talk about, we are not like if you are using the machineries, we are not losing the jobs, but the new people which are like whose skills we are need, those people we are going to hire. So it's going to get the chain in that. So in this way, what happens, it helps in improving the efficiencies as well as to reduce the cost. Then business sustainability. If we are not able to introduce some kind of different thing or some uniqueness in your existing product, what will be happening? The other person will come and they will steal the limelight. So for sustaining the market, what is there? We has to do some kind of modification or we has to do some kind of upgradation in our existing products, or sometimes we has to come up with altogether new product or the new sector, you can say, to sustain the market, which is helps in thriving the success and the learning part as well as in adaptation of the change or the trend. So if we talk about the business sustainability, there is a company, Jaipur Rugs. In that, what is happening? They are creating the carpets, you can say. In that carpet part, they are having both the things like machine made as well as handmade, but the majority of the part is handmade. Now what innovation is there in that, with that they are having the people, you can say the skilled people who are unique in themselves and they are having the freedom to create their own designs. So whatever the things, the output they can bring, no other company can bring. Why so? Because they are not having these skilled peoples. So if for example there are two company A and company B, there are two textile companies, we'll simply take the textile companies, okay, textile A, textile B. So in the textile A, textile B, this company, both companies in starting used to create their products using handmade products. Now with the trend or to increase the number of the product output, company B adopted the machine made textiles and company A also introduced machine made textiles, but not fully. So now what will be happening? This particular machine is available in the market for everyone, correct? So now how you are going to get the competitive advantage by using this particular machine? It is totally depend how we are operating this machine and what kind of final output we are getting, as well as what happened, this company A, they kept their handmade textiles product and plus they gave the freedom to their workers, you can say, or to the employees or the artisans who were creating those products, that whatever the thing you want to create using this particular raw material, you can come up with it. So now the output product is totally based on the ideation and the skill and the knowledge of those particular workers, employees or the artisans. So their entire products are being unique in themselves in comparison to the things which are available in the market. Why so? Because they are having the unique with human capital. So this is one of the way like how we can introduce the innovation within the established enterprises, as well as how we can come up with the new product altogether as a new entrepreneurs, where we are going to enter in the market for the first time. And then last one is yours. So as I mentioned earlier, customer satisfaction is the prime focus of the entire process of innovation. Whatever the innovation we are doing, it should lead to the creation of the value for whom? For users. So the innovation, we always work to improve the existing products or to bring the new product in the market. For whom? For the users, to enhance their satisfaction level, and or you can say to ease their life or bring the efficiency to perform the task they want to perform, whether it's their personal task or whether it's their professional task. Then there are some certain principles of the innovation. First and foremost is that the entire process is centric, means the user centric, and whatever the innovation, whatever the idea we're coming up with, it should address the need of the consumers, the real need of the consumers, customers, or the users. Then experimentation and learning. Innovation is all about experimentation and learning. It's not a one time process, it's a continuous process where we are thriving for what? For learning and for the successful implementation of the product, new product, or the service. Then collaboration. While we're talking about the innovation, it's not a one man work, it's the entire team collaboration work where we are having the designers, engineers, marketer, partners, or financiers, investors, everyone. So it's the collaboration between the different entities, or the different people, or the individuals, or the entrepreneurs, or the employees, which are bringing some kind of idea, and that idea they are working towards the implementation part, and because with that implementation part, they are creating the value in the life of the users. So there is a saying na, that better together, the greater the impact will be there. And then it's a continuous process. As I mentioned previously, it's a continuous process that we are going to understand the users, what are the real need they are having, what are the like desires they are having, what are the gaps are there in the market, and based on those gaps we are going to identify some different ideas, we are going to generate the ideas, we are going to improve either the existing products, or altogether we are bringing the new product. And by that thing we are going to test it again with whom? With the users only. And based on those feedbacks, whether we has to improve it or we has to continue it will be decided by the feedback of the users. And again we will repeat the same. Why so? To sustain the market. The main purpose is sustaining the market. And again, to sustain the market, what is there? The innovation which we are introducing, it should align with what? The goal of the organization. Because if you are bringing some kind of idea, very well, but whether that idea is useful for the growth of the organization or not, whether what vision or the mission the organization is having, it is related with those things or not, that we has to see. So when we're talking about the innovation, it should lead or should align with the vision and the mission, or you can say the long-term goal of the organization. So what is innovation? It's a practical application of your creative ideas to develop the product, service, or the process or business model. For what purpose? To create the value for the society or the organization. And the successful innovation is having the novelty in that, and it should be the user centric, and it should create the valuation for the society or the organization or for the users, and it leads for the with the continuous improvement which manages the uncertainty and the changes in the market. As well as we talk about the principles of the innovation, it should be customer centric, experimentation and learning, strategic alignment, collaboration, and provides the, and based on these kind of principles only, what is happening, it is able to provide the competitive advantage and sustainable growth to the organizations and the entrepreneurs. Thank you.